AT&T, our parent company, has a message for Google's YouTube. It says it's pulling all of its advertising from YouTube over inappropriate content that's raising child exploitation fears. And it's not alone. The branding expert, Bruce Turkel, Chief Executive of Turkel Brands, joins me live from Miami. And Shelley Palmer is here again. Bruce, essentially, this is about innocent posts on YouTube of things like young females doing gymnastics, and then unsavory, arguably paedophilic, comments attached to it and corporate advertisers around it. YouTube is saying it's looking what it can do. If you're a big brand, what do you do about this?
If you're a big brand, you do exactly what those brands did. You run for the hills. Richard, here's a new term. You're going to hear it here first, but you're going to hear it a lot in the next few years. Adjacency awareness. It no longer is good enough to run ads where you think people are watching. You have to know what's around them. Because, let's face it, nobody knew what was there. It's algorithms that pick where the ads run. But the activists, the objectors, they use the same algorithms, we call it Google, to find where these ads are.
But this is slightly different in the sense that in the past, this adjacent awareness has been the adverts themselves. Here, it's user-created content which is entirely innocent and wholesome, where contributors, members of the public, nasties, have added unsavory, vile comments.
My friend, I respect that because you're in the industry. You know everything about media. It's what you do every day. But consumers don't. And although that's a very logical argument, it's not an emotional argument. And the consumers don't think about that. Nobody thinks that these companies condone that kind of activity, and nobody thinks YouTube condones that kind of activity. No longer matters. Today, inaction equals endorsement because someone sees it, and the knee-jerk reaction is the ad is next to that horrible comment, I'm not doing business with that company anymore. That's the way consumers act.
So, brand safety. We'll talk about that. It's content adjacency and brand safety are not new concepts. Here's the problem YouTube is having. You've described it perfectly. These are videos of young children doing whatever young children do, and pedophiles writing in code are communicating with each other internally, and that community is leveraging a very wholesome environment to do really bad stuff.
But is it possible for YouTube?
Yes.
Is it possible technologically?
No, it doesn't. It's not a technological thing at all, because you don't need that. It's called human curation. You have a content and community manager who manages a community, and you step it up YouTube, and you step it up Facebook, and you take responsibility for what's on your platform.
All right, but Bruce...
Shelley is absolutely right.
But, Bruce, will that be enough for companies? I mean, at the end of the day...
Yes, that would be enough.
Well, at the end of the day, even with human curation, you're still going to have these incidents happening because algorithms are so powerful. What do companies do, Bruce?
What the companies have to do is exactly what Shelley said. They have to be aware of everywhere their message is, because once again, adjacency awareness says you are going to be blamed for whatever you're next to, and you can like it or dislike it, you can say it's fair or unfair, but at the end of the day, none of that matters. What matters is that you don't want your brand next to something that people find distasteful.
We'll come to Judge Bruce, staying with you though. Surely, I mean, does it really affect the companies? I suppose in the case of something as vile as this, but in the case of, Bruce, in case of just nudity or something like, I mean, you know, do users really associate the two?
I'll take that right now. I'll just say to you, either advertising works or it doesn't. Either messaging works or it doesn't. You can't have it both ways. If you are adjacent to something that is not on brand for you and you're a marketer, then your message is compromised, and you unfortunately are not going to get the efficacy out of your brand dollars that you want. You also, if you're a publicly traded company, you've got the public screaming and yelling at you. It's like, look what you've done.
So let's go back to what YouTube can actually do. All right?
Yeah.
So in the scenario, you've got YouTube that is, it has its content, which is automatically putting comments, and it's automatically putting.
Well, let's talk about the technology right straight up. A video goes on YouTube. and it's got a comment section, which the author of the video, and it's user-generated video generally, though companies put up videos and people put up videos, you can either enable or disable comments. If you enable comments, they're open. Now, you can go in and edit them yourselves. YouTube does not touch your comments. They don't do it.
But is it realistic? Is it realistic to do that, bearing in mind the size and scale? YouTube is the largest purveyor of video content.
So we now come to the major question of the 21st century.
Right.
The actual major question, which is what is real and what is fake? What are we responsible for and what are we not responsible for? Technology will, look, we can write these posts by computer. We don't, AI can write the post. You don't even need people to do the comment. The question is, if there was a community manager there,
right,
then the community manager will be able to go, hey, this is not appropriate for this environment.
Stay with me. And, Bruce, you're back. I believe we had a technical problem. But listen, before we come to you finally, Bruce, I want to read this story first. Nike shares were down 1.5% after a very high-profile sneaker malfunction. The college basketball star Zion Williamson got injured after his sneaker shoe tore apart at the start of a big game on Wednesday night. Now, Williamson's meant to be the next big NBA star. Look at that shoe. Nike said it's working to identify the issue. You are our branding expert on Quest Means Business, Bruce. I mean, if you are Nike, this has gone round the world. What do you do?
I start marketing him. I start talking about how strong he is, how powerful he is. I design a new shoe with steel cables to keep him in. I turn this liability into an asset, that we are going to have the shoe for the strongest guy in the world, and we turn that into the shoe that everybody wants.
Yeah, I handle that differently.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Shelley.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Bruce.
Thank you very much. Good to see you. Shelley, always good to have you. Always good to have you, Bruce, as well.
Thank you.
The average CEO in the S&P 500 makes more than $13 million. And your report finds out we're not paying for performance. Investors are starting to revolt. In a moment.